Hello and welcome to this special event video series where we're creating a campaign for the Save or Dice game that I'm going to be running on the Save or Dice YouTube channel, which kicks off in a couple days now. We're 2 days before the launch of that, so you can find that on the Save or Dice channel. The link is below. And what we're doing now is we've created, basically, if you remember, we've created our plot, we've created our adventure schedule, if you like. We've created our adventure outlines. Now we needed to take it to the next level where we needed to create a map. We created those maps and now we're taking them into worldanvil.com, which is a website that aggregates your world building basically. And what we're going to do is we're going to load those maps into here so that we can start to work with them and use the power that comes with running something on World Anvil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to we're going to go to create, we're going to go to maps, okay, and so that you can see the process. What I've done is I have loaded in those 4 maps. Literally, you just sort of create map, you load it in, and that's it. What I have then done, and I'm going to show you here on the car in profile. So the maps, remember, we created 4 maps. We created the profile map, we created the solosphere, which is the upper map, the terrasphere, which is the mid map, and then the undersphere, which is the lower map. So I'm now going to go in here, I'm going to say edit, and there you can see it. I can zoom out so you can see the whole thing. I added in this little bit of extra text here in Photoshop. I'm not sure if I did that in the videos or not. Either way, it doesn't really matter. It's literally just a case of putting in some notes for the players. So a spell of magical binding holds the planets together, but the spheres and islands constantly drift, just to give the players some idea of what's going on. Then we've got Car, the Broken World, the Solosphere, which is elves, orcs, and mixed. The Terrasphere, humans, lizard folk, ice dwarves, and minotaurs. Then the Drift, of course, where we've got drop goblins and the elementals. And then the Undersphere, which is the undead, arcanosaurs, and shadowkin. And then movement, you've got Bolovian sky whales, if you remember. Those are the great big flying sky whales that move about. Hot air balloons, site-to-site portal gates, teleportation towers, falling, of course, gliders, which is down only, and then a geyser pod, which is up only. That's when we have water spouts shooting upwards. Now you'll notice that there's some markers here, and that's for a very important reason. The markers, and I can move markers around. I can add as many markers as I like using World Anvil. So I've got the opportunities here to create a marker. I can create the pin. I can label it. I can give it a look. So I can make it look like an asteroid if I really wanted to. Depending on what I fill in, you'll see that changes. I can create circles and polygons. I can label text. I can do all sorts of weird and wonderful things within this program. Of course, I can go to title. I can give it a description. I can then link it. And this is the important thing here, is that I can link it to somewhere else, a related location, a related map. So you can see here that I have linked it already to the Solosphere, the Terrasphere, and the Undersphere. So I have linked it to that, and I can link it to locations. Now, I haven't made any locations yet within World Anvil. So what we're going to do is we're now going to say, okay, great. If we look here, the Solosphere, the hot, arid sphere, is home to deserts and ruthless elves and orcs. And that is the map of the Solosphere. All right, so that's where that link takes us to, that link number 1. And we could really develop it and take it further if we want to. Now, we can even link it so that certain subscriber groups that I've created, which I haven't created, allow certain people to see it and certain other people not to see it. So I can put notes in there if I really, really wanted to. Okay, so if I go and view the map now, did I click in the wrong place? Yeah, view the map. This is what, if I were to share the map with, this is what someone would see. Then I can look here, I can see, okay, so this links to the drift. Great, fantastic. We've only got 1 layer here. This links to the undersphere. Great, okay. And of course, then I can zoom in and I can zoom out as needed. All right, so there's nothing to do here. I'm not going to save it. I'm not going to do anything along those lines. What I am going to do now, though, is, yes, go home. We're going to not follow those. Too far home. Back to campaigns. The reason why there's no video, by the way, is that I thought it would be better just to give you the full screen for these next sort of videos, as it makes a little bit more sense. Now, once we have our maps, so we've got all of our maps and let me just go through them quickly so that you can have a look and see what we're dealing with, because I did do some upgrades and things to the map. So what I did was I went into each map and I created alliances. I created outlines of territories. So you can see there's the alliance of Sa'a-kun Adwa, which is these two territories here. All the cities start with Sel except for capital cities, which start with Men. So this is the alliance of Sa'a-kun Adwa. That is the elves who are basically insane because they've been so badly sunburnt. You've got Orc territory, where we spoke about those different city names, and then there's the Garian Independent State, which is Hightown, basically, and I'm sure some of you will get the reference there. And then there's the Ivernite theocracy, which is down here, and that's controlled by the crazy Ivanites who believe that the god Event is great. Basically, she's the sun goddess, and they believe that everyone should join her by being burnt to death in the sun. And of course, then there are these three little islands down here that have got nothing to do with anyone. No one colonizes them. No one lives there. They are completely barren. So that is that. So that's what we've got loaded so far. Now let's see if we can go back. Can we go back? No, I'll just use the back button. And you see, of course, we've got nothing. We've got no followers. We've got no table of contents. There's basically nothing here except for a very brief little descriptor. So we've got all of our maps loaded. Great stuff. Now, what do we need to move on to next? Well, next, as far as I'm concerned, we need to go to settlements. Now, this is going to be creating a settlement. And I think the first settlement that we should create is going to be the settlement that our characters start in. Now, if we go back to our original template of the breakdown of our adventure sequences, the very first adventure was the God Showdown, and that's where the PCs are going to be role-playing as gods, as well as they're going to be role-playing as themselves halfway through the session once the God piece has ended. So we're kind of giving them all the backstory during the God section, and then when they actually start playing, that's when the game starts. Now, for that, we need them to start somewhere. Now, I have had an opportunity to speak to the players subsequently, and I have discovered that so far, two of them have given me backstories and a little bit to work with, and one of them is actually quite a lot of fun. The other one is pretty cool as well. One is from the Undersphere, one is from the Terrasphere. So the idea now is, how do we integrate that? How do we take it to the next level? And that's literally, we need to start by creating somewhere to actually set this whole thing. Now, originally I said that I wanted the war with the gods to mirror the war with the characters down below. I have discovered that we've decided, and I think it's a good call for the purposes of a stream anyway, to reduce the duration of the game from 4 hours to 2 hours. Now, of course, that is going to have major ramifications on my behalf. Instead of having 2 combat sessions and then 2 sort of RP sessions, I now basically can only have 1 combat session and 2 RP sessions. So I've got to play that very, very carefully, because otherwise I'm going to run out of time. And quite frankly, I don't have the time really to spend doing other stuff. I don't really have the time for the PCs to dawdle. So 2 hours is not a long time. That's how long the Windswift runs for. And let me tell you that time runs out very, very quickly. So we're going to start by creating the location of the battle. Wait, what did that have to do with anything? What I have decided is, instead of having a God War in the one space, which is going to give all of our players their information, and then to have the players in another battle, I'm going to change it. I'm going to now take the theme of perseverance as well as the tone that the players and I discussed. Now, this was very important. We discussed what is the tone of this space? What is the tone of the adventure? And we've discovered that basically it's going to be a Tomb Raider meets Indiana Jones type of romancing the stone. It's an action adventure setting, which I think is really exciting. And, you know, people go, oh, but that's standard role playing, isn't it? Yes and no. When we look at the idea of action adventure, but particularly tomb raiding, temple robbing, those kinds of things, immediately a whole lot of things come to mind. We're going to have ancient dungeons and temples for them to go and explore through. We're going to have cultists that chase them because they've stolen the sacred artifact, all kinds of things. And all that's done is that set my mind ablaze in terms of options. But more on that later when I do the next video, which will be on designing the first adventure. What I need to do now is I need to set up my space. So I've actually jumped ahead here. I need to come back to my maps. We are going to set this on the terrasphere. It's going to be based on the terrasphere. Now I need to go to the terrasphere and just remind myself of what's there. Tomb raiding, I'm thinking jungles. I know it's not original, but that doesn't matter as far as I'm concerned. It's about how it plays out. What we can do is we can make it set in somewhere like Kamboto or Toshki, where we've got more of an Asian feel. This is the Centaur territories, I believe. If I zoom out here, the Yadidori Empire. Yes, I think that is the Centaurs. Otherwise, no, the Centaurs are down here in the United City-States of Theosii. So if we go to Theosii, then I think that could be quite fun. I mean, you look at it, we've got jungles galore, we've got Phenandroma, we've got Galdaris, we've got Ilolis, so there's some really cool sort of city names there. And if we set it here, then that's fantastic, because that gives us a location to start with. And I think centaurs are pretty different. So let's start our adventure in Phenandroma. Phenandroma. I'm just going to write that spelling down so I don't screw it up. Phenandroma. Okay, so back here, we're going to create a settlement. Location settlement, and the settlement's name is going to be, and this is why I wanted to be full screen, is Phenandroma. Okay, so Phenandroma, fantastic. Thank you very much. Now, I don't write these vignettes first. If you haven't worked with World Anvil before, I don't work with the vignette first. I don't start there. So alternative names, we're going to call this the City of Hooves. I'm showing you right now that this is not original. This is just cool. So City of Hooves, because it's run by centaurs. Okay, so we're going to scroll down here. What is it? It is a city. Fantastic. It's a city. Its population, I guess I would say it's probably going to have a population of around 164,000 people. It's a large city. So everything is available. People who are from Phenandroma are known as Fenites. The Fenites. Demographic, I'm just working through this now. So the demographics are centaurs, 78%, humans, say 14%. I'm already getting terrified because of maths. Then let's say dwarves, because I mine the ice. Let's say 5. No, let's do it easily for myself. So we've got 2% left, and then other 2%. So that's sort of everything else that's in there. So that gives us a broad spectrum idea of who and what is there. Then the government, how is it run? Well, it is, because it's the entire idea behind this location is it's a democracy of some kind. So it's sort of the Greek idea. So we're going to go with a democracy. Infrastructure, we don't necessarily have to go through all of this. It depends on what you need to add in. And for the purposes of our story creation, I think that the important thing here is to... Now we can create rulers and things. I think the important thing here is, I thought that was how you linked it. Okay, anyway, it's not. The important thing that we need to do here is decide what's the role of this city going to be in our space. And the role is, it's going to be the first city that our player characters can get to start their joint adventure. So we got the City of Hooves, and we're going to put in a little vignette here, and we're going to say a sprawling city of the Centauri Centaur peoples that is open to all for trade. Centaur control is in the form of a democracy as voted from the land owning class. All manner of items, objects, and trade goods are available here. Okay, again, I'm not going to go too far. I'm not going to go very much more into that. I'm going to save the changes. So that becomes our location now. So now I can go back to our maps and I can go to the Terrasphere. And on the Terrasphere, I can drag this first location, drag it down to Fenandroma. There we go. Come down here, label. I'm going to call it it's not a capital, it's not a castle. We're going to call it a city, and their color is sort of greenish, so we'll do that. And then this is Fenandroma. Okay. Large centaur city. Okay. And that's Fenandroma. You see it's loaded it up already. Related location. Fantastic. So there we go. That's done. And then we create marker. And if I go to the top, now we will see there is our little city marker. That is listed as Fenandroma. So now we'll be able to click on that, and then that will link us to the marker. Now the reason why I like to do this is because I can have this map open in World Anvil whilst I'm running the game, and as the characters move around, I can just click on these and it'll automatically bring up the pages that are linked here. So that makes it a really, really powerful tool to run your games fairly quickly and fairly easily. Oh, you don't have access to this page. It's private, and because you made it, you don't have access to it. Anyway, we'll speak to the World Anvil people and say, why did that happen? What did I do wrong? Because I must have done something wrong. Let's see down here. Anyway, we'll figure it out. I did something somewhere, but the idea is that you can then link through everything. What a wonderful tutorial video here. Yeah, this is how it doesn't work. So I suppose that always happens with technology. If it happens to Apple, it can happen to me. Right, so we are going to compile some things into here. Now, we're not going to bury ourselves in work. We're not going to go and create write-ups for every single city. We're not going to do that because our first adventure is happening outside of the city of Fenandroma. So most likely the players are going to end up at Fenandroma, or they're going to go to Locksbrook. So I might do another little entry for Locksbrook in case they go there. It's unlikely that they're going to go to Ilolis because it's a whole long distance away. Bavrasik is in the mountains, so it's again unlikely that they're going to go there. So most likely it's Locksbrook. They could drop down into the Undersphere, but they're only level 3, so that would be very, very dangerous to do, and I wouldn't advise it. They could try and get up into the Solosphere, but again, they're only level 3, and we're not ready for them to go there yet. So this is where they're going to be. They're going to encounter whatever is in there, and the way that we're going to determine what that is in the next video, when we start to look at how do we actually break down that first adventure into a workable adventure. So until next time, thank you for watching. I hope that this has been remotely helpful in terms of at least keeping things organized, helping you with your campaign here. You can see now those are the various pages that I've made. I've got more to make and fill in and continue to work on. And it gives you a word count as well if you like that sort of thing. Anyway, until next time, I wish you and yours the very happiest of adventure, campaign, and game design.